It's a tough day in our house today, Jack, because we're on to the final season of Desperate Housewives.
Oh.
I know. We've got through 7 seasons. We've begun season 8, and I'm nervous as to what we're going to do when we finish, because it's pretty much dominated our lives here since sort of the start of the year. And I don't know how. And thank you very much, by the way, for all your suggestions for what we should watch after. Stick them in the comments down below.
I was about to give you one, but if you've already had loads of suggestions.
Oh no, mate, hit me with it. Does
it have to be in a similar vein to Desperate Housewives, or can it be?
I mean, I'm open-minded. Ugly Betty, a friend of ours, suggested yesterday.
Oh, I'm way off here.
Go for it.
It's just that I've recently started watching Ozark on Netflix.
Ooh, we haven't watched Ozark yet.
It's quite slow burn, but it's suspenseful.
Ooh.
It's
nice.
Thingy. What's he called? Is it Jason Bateman? It's good anyway. It's good.
Ozark.
Are you a Breaking Bad man or not?
Watched a bit of Breaking Bad. I haven't finished watching Breaking Bad. We'll get to the Rest Indies in a minute.
It's Breaking Bad.
A bit of Breaking Bad. Okay.
Yeah. But not as light-hearted, I was going to say, which sounds terrible, which sounds awful.
Not as fun and frolics.
Not as whimsical as Breaking Bad, yeah.
Less pizzas on the roof, more horror and sadness.
Yeah.
All your suggestions below would be amazing. Thank you very much indeed. Ozark, says Jack. But anyway, wrestling news. Let's go, Ozark. Beautiful.
Oh.
Boof. An AEW star says WWE denied their release. A former WWE champion was injured at an Indy show over the weekend, and a WWE Hall of Famer is making an in-ring return. We'll talk about that in a bit. We start sending our best wishes to Enzo, who, formerly Enzo Amore, had an injury over the weekend. He was part of the SWE show in Dallas facing Ivan Warsaw. He took a DDT on the outside of the ring. It knocked him completely out. He ended up being stretchered out of the arena and taken to a nearby hospital as well. Now, we haven't got a proper medical update on Enzo. The promotion hasn't given us any details, but Enzo has got onto Twitter to say thank you to those who reached out with concern. We're sending our best today. That's a tough one, because Enzo Amore sort of hasn't had a whole lot of matches since he left WWE, and this felt like something that he might maybe make his home going forward, and that sucks to see that happen.
Right, well, fair enough. I didn't actually know he was wrestling again, which that's just a blind spot in my own knowledge, I suppose. But yeah, that is a shame, especially if it was one of his first matches since, well, the pandemic and everything, I suppose. And also, it was reminiscent of his injury in WWE, isn't it? Where he hit his head on the ropes and was knocked out then, a very scary moment, which I believe was like Fastlane or Payback 2016, maybe, around that sort of time.
I know it was an opening match. It was them versus the Vaudevillains.
Yes.
And it was an opening match, and the match just went a couple of minutes before it all got called to a halt. And yeah, eerily similar to kind of what went on there. Just a freak accident like that. And we send our best wishes to Enzo going forward. Meanwhile, an AEW star has been speaking to AEW Unrestricted about their last few months in WWE, which sound rather fraught. Ty Conti, who has done some really good stuff since she joined AEW. She was on, I think, Dark Elevation just the other day. She was on AEW Unrestricted talking about her time with the WWE. In particular, how she came to get out of her WWE contract, or didn't. So I'll let Jack tell you what she said, but it's quite interesting, some of the wording here.
Yeah, she said that she was asking for her release before she was eventually released. She said, "I was asking for my release for a couple of months. I was so unhappy that I didn't have any plans. We were having a bunch of meetings, and I was like, no, I'm just done. Please let me go." So at the last one, they told me, no, you're not going. And they meant this. I think this is what you mean by the interesting part. They mentioned AEW specifically to her, and they said, well, no, you're not going because we don't want you going there. She goes on, I remember they told me, no, you're not going to go to AEW. We put a lot of money on you. You are a star, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yes, you guys don't use me here, so I've got to go somewhere. But it's not there. I know nobody there. I've got no plans to go to AEW. And she said, I have no plans because I have no contacts at all. At the end of the day, we figured it out. They said no, and I still had 2 years left on my contract. And I said, what am I going to do? I'm going to be here. And they told me, okay, you can stay at home. We're going to pay you. You can be at home. And she said, no, I know everyone's going to forget about me, and I won't be able to work. And she sort of had to tell herself, no, I'm going to make it the last 2 years, basically. She had to kind of ride it out, by the sounds of it. She said, I'm going to keep working. We got on good terms, and then something had to change because I was not with training the schedule. I was back to work normally. Out of nowhere, they called me, but everyone knew what was going on because of COVID. But I was not expecting the call since we were okay, and they told me, we are finally letting you go. And she says, I don't know how to explain it without being too mean, but they're not too nice. So what happened there as a summary is kind of that initially she wanted her release. They said, no, you can stay at home and we'll pay you. We don't want you going elsewhere. Then they managed to get on better terms and they brought her back into the fold with some storylines. And then they released her during the pandemic. So, she said not while being not too nice about it.
It's funny how they were like, you're not going to go to AEW. And I wonder how many other conversations with people wanting to get out of their contracts have sounded like that, where they've gone, I don't want to be here, and they go, don't go to AEW. You better not go to AEW.
Well, I mean,
I'll be very cross if you do.
There was that period where people were getting offered crazy contract extensions because of presumably the fear of AEW. Who was the most famous one? It was the Kanellises. It was Mike Kanellis specifically, wasn't it? He negotiated himself a huge contract extension at first. I think Randy Orton was teasing that he was going to go to AEW because he knew it would get him more money, I suppose, in the long run. I don't think Randy Orton ever had any intention of going to AEW, but he pretended
no intention
that he
whatsoever of going to AEW. No intention at all of going. But it's funny how I think that's come up a lot, and I think a lot of people, like you said, made out very well over that fear that WWE had of AEW. On the subject of releasing stars, Mojo Rawley, Dean Mutardi, speaking out about some big plans going forward. He says, 10 days until you get me. The real me. The version of me I've been so ready to share with you all for a decade. Hashtag Adam Pacitti to Mojo Rawley. No, hashtag start the countdown. We'll get Mojo's got his mojo back, Jack.
I'm excited. I've honestly, and I don't know if it's just because he's been Pacitti's guy for so many years now, but I actually really enjoy Mojo. He just seems... I know that the joke is that he's hyped all the time and there's no off switch, but I like it. I just miss him. And I can't wait to see what he actually does. And if he's doing any interviews and stuff, if that's what he means, then I'll be listening to them. And if he's appearing somewhere and doing something like that, then I'll be very excited for that as well. But I genuinely just can't wait.
The only conversation I want to hear has been him and Adam Pacitti. That's the big one. That's the big one. And talking of big returns, WWE Hall of Famer Mark Henry getting close to getting back in the ring, and he is looking amazing. So a few months ago, he said he'd lost 80 pounds since his last match, and he wanted to slim down to a certain weight before he got back into the ring again. Over the weekend, he tweeted 20 pounds to go, and there's a picture of Mark Henry, which should be down there now. He looks ace. Like, right. He's slim, trim. Someone's getting their wig split, Jack.
I would love it if, because you know how he pretended to retire in that promo with Cena, and then he hit him instead with the World's Strongest Slam, and everyone went, "Oh, Mark Henry's not retiring," and he did the whole, "I've got plenty of gas left in the tank." I would love it if this was the opposite. So he's pretending he's going to come back in the ring, and then he gets to the goal, and then he goes, "Nah, I'm all right. I'm just gonna."
So he gets into the ring. Yeah, as he gets into the ring, he puts the salmon jacket back on.
Yeah.
Which he would drown in now, looking at the size of him.
Right.
I mean, any excuse to see the salmon jacket one more time.
Oh, it looked great. But I just like the idea of him just getting in the ring, walking in, just a little wave, turns around, off he goes again. Just, yeah.
Off on his scooter into the sunset.
Yeah. Whoa. Oh.
And it's on that bombshell. There'll be more news as it comes in at cultaholic.com throughout your day. Andrew is live on twitch.tv/cultaholic tonight. Monday fun day. He's bought a new musical instrument, like a theremin type thing.
He's good at it. Yeah.
I bet if you ask him nicely, he'll play you some tunes. Get him on that. Twitch.tv/cultaholic, 6 p.m. British summertime. Until then, stay safe and love you. Bye.